Hello, and welcome to Erica on Air. Grab your coffee, grab your tea, and come chat with me. Today, I have the cutest friend in here. Jessica Jackson is her name, and to me, when I look at her, she's basically wearing a cape. She's like a superhero, and I just, seriously, like, her story is so inspiring, and I wanted to share you with everyone. My daughter was so excited you were going to be on here today. She loves her some Miss Jessica.
I love AB.
And so she really wanted to be here. She wasn't at cheer camp. She would have been here today, but she's looking forward to vacationing with you guys this summer.
I'm so excited. That's become one of my new favorite trips is our beach trip
That's
together.
awesome. That's awesome. She loves hanging with your younger boys.
They love her. Especially
she loves
Ace.
Them.
I think the other day they made a deal that if they're not married at a certain age, they're just
is so sweet.
They're just gonna go for it.
Well, Lee, your husband Lee is a lot like my husband in the sense that he's a true gentleman about stuff, and you guys have trained your boys to be that way.
I hope so.
They are like so thoughtful and gentlemen.
Well, you never know how they are when you're not around.
No, that's how they are.
But I hope so.
They
are. Try.
They're great. Try. So to introduce y'all to my friend Jessica, she's a 6th grade teacher at the elementary school where my kids go. She's younger than me in school, but was always a really big basketball player, great athlete, and stayed close to all your high school friends and stayed in the community. Now, your husband and you own a business, though, that he works out of town primarily, right?
He does. He used to work a little farther out, but since I've been sick, he actually got a job, and this is a God thing, I think, that's only about 45 minutes from the house, so he's been home every night for the past, I guess, 2 years.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, it's been awesome, life-changing.
That is awesome.
Before that, he would work probably a couple hours away. He would leave on Monday morning and come home Thursday evenings.
And that's another reason you're a superhero. I don't know how moms do that.
It's a lot. It is. But you just get your routine down and you can do it. You can just do it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we tag team everything now. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine, how, but you have great mom and stuff like that too. That
She has 2
helps.
of my kids right now, Jim and Spence.
And my mom's got one of mine. I don't know how people do it.
I know, without help, like without family, friends.
We both grew up in a small town. And so, and if you grow up in a small town, you're more apt to stay in a small town and your family's close by. And so that's all I know. But when we lived in Memphis for a few years and people would have families and they'd have children and their grandparents be, 17 hours away and stuff. They see them 2 times a year. I'm like, how do you do it?
I mean, I just randomly, okay, I want to go to Walmart by myself. Can you watch them? I just need a minute.
Or when they're babies, just shower.
Yes.
You're like, I really just need a shower by myself.
But now that we've had so many kids, Nash is almost 13. It's like, here, watch this one. Let me go take a shower.
It's nice.
So it is nice.
And I'll tell you what, when my kids were really little, and your children are younger than mine, when mine were really little, I was like, I feel so sorry for these moms at church that their kids are older, like they're high schoolers. I'm like, their fun years are, no, it's like their fun years are over.
Yeah.
Because I loved the little bitty and getting them dressed, which don't get me wrong, I loved every minute of that.
Yeah.
But every phase is fun.
It is. I used to get so sad just looking at them as babies, thinking, I don't want you to grow up. But then you're sitting here laughing with your middle school kids, and you're like, this is so much fun. Like us having a conversation. Yes.
They do. I cannot wait to get my daughter out of school in the afternoons. I'm like, they joke with me because I'll be like, I don't know. I want to talk to Anna Berkeley about this when I pick her up today, and it's like, I can't wait to hear what happened in her day. And I want to share stuff with her and get her opinion on it. And so it is a gift.
I'm the same way with my boys. I know they're boys. So, but we're so close and they're just funny. They make me laugh. That's how I got through everything.
Yeah. Okay. So Jessica is married, her husband Lee, and they live in a wonderful neighborhood. They have life going on, great, and they have 3 boys. Putting y'all in there in her life and explaining a little bit about her. The boys are absolutely adorable. Explain your boys' names and their ages.
Okay. So Nash, he will be 13 this fall. Ace is 10, and Spence is 5.
Okay, and y'all, they are all, like I said, they're true gentlemen, but they are mama's boys.
They're such mama's boys, and I love it so much.
It is the sweetest thing, but they are, and they look so tough. I've always told her, she keeps these boys so put together. I'm like, do you cut their hair like weekly because they've always got the best clean cut?
Well, their daddy loves a good clean haircut. He would want me to take them at least every other week.
Great.
Finally, he cuts it now.
My kid's the one with the rat tail growing down because we haven't made time to go get the haircut.
Yeah.
But I love that their hair is always like just perfect. I've always told Jessica that. I'm like, you've got it going on, girl. These boys are adorable. They love their mama. And
If
y'all,
we're at home and I'm on the couch, all three of them are piled on
and
me.
it's the best, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the best.
it is.
So Jessica found out that she was pregnant. Jessica, would it have been 1 year ago, Vacation Bible School, or 2? It would have been 2 because she just had her first birthday, right?
Yeah, she'll be 2 in October.
Okay, so 2 years ago now, pretty much, during Vacation Bible School, Jessica had found out she was pregnant with her 4th child, and she knew if it was a boy or girl, but no one else did.
Yeah.
And her boys were so excited about the pregnancy.
So
like,
excited.
everybody was, really. Everybody was. And so I just remember at Vacation Bible School them being like, Mom, tell us. And she didn't act that excited. So
No.
we all thought she's having another boy.
Everybody was like, it's another boy. I can tell by the look on her face. She's not showing any excitement. But hey, if it had been another boy, I love me a little boy.
I know. And you said that the whole time. You were like, I really do not care. But
No.
everyone else is who wanted a girl for you.
Everybody wanted me to have a girl, which now I see is the biggest blessing. But I've always wanted to be a boy mom. I've always just felt more comfortable attached to my little boys.
Yeah.
And I would have been perfectly fine with boy number 4. I mean, we weren't trying for either.
Right.
So.
Right. It was a gift no matter what.
It was a gift.
And so you find out that you're having a little girl, or you announce that you knew that when I saw you last. That was the last time I've seen her a ton since then. But I'm meaning, putting it in perspective, she finds out she's having a little girl. Everybody is so excited. The picture-perfect announcement pictures, the whole 9 yards. And then walk us through how your journey of life changed in like the time span and kind of what you went through.
Okay, so we found out I was pregnant, found out it was a girl. The boys are so excited already, like looking up pink ball shoes for thinking of all the things. So it was that summer pregnancy, bigger during the summer. I could tell it was different from the get-go, just like different pains in my stomach, more pain in my abdomen. I could hardly breathe, but it wasn't like the breathing that you get during the last trimester, like the fast, you know, how you kind of get out of breath towards the end because you're running out of room. It was just very labored, painful. I can't breathe. And then we're on the lake all the time in the summer.
They're a very active family. They're camping or on the water
We
or
love
traveling.
to be around the water. So we were out in the heat a lot, and I just got to where like, okay, I can't. So I thought there was something different in a way, but then I had never been pregnant with a little girl before.
Right.
And I've heard some people are more sick with little girls. I mean, every pregnancy is different, honestly, even with my boys.
And some people will say it's harder when you're older, and it was your
I
4th
kept
one.
saying that. I was like, well, this is a greenie pregnancy. This is what it feels like.
I think no matter what, though, we make excuses for ourselves because we're just taught to get ourselves through things.
Yes, exactly. And that's what it was. So we got past the summer, and I really remember at my niece's birthday party at Standing Stone, I was following Lee and my brother and sister-in-law up a hill, and I was like, guys, I can't go up there. Like, I just could not breathe. And they were just kind of laughing, you know, I'm out of shape, pregnant, getting bigger. That's really when I remember thinking, okay, I don't think I can keep doing this. But I
were how
kept
far
doing
along
it.
at that point?
Well, my due date still wasn't till December, like the end of December. So
This would have been what, like July?
no, this was in September. So this was
September.
a couple more months to go,
Okay,
solid
okay.
months to go, or 3 months, I guess. But so I mean, I just kept going. I was just hurting. Lee was out of town. And the boys, they got to where they wanted to sleep with me in the bed. So you have a big pregnant mama, 3 boys in the bed. So we were all in the same room. And I got to where I would get up during the night and throw up. But once again, a different
You're pregnant.
pregnancy. It's a girl. But then I can't remember when the blood started happening. I started coughing up a lot of blood consistently and sneezing up a lot of blood. Like, it would be completely covered. I started doing that. And then, like I said, throwing up during the night. Couldn't breathe. The coughing, constantly coughing. Just couldn't stop. So I went, let's see. I went a couple times to just...
Like primary care?
Yeah. They didn't do any scans. they just said it was probably like a sinus infection or just some type of infection. So I got some antibiotic.
Are they more leery to do scans, you think, when you're pregnant?
Yeah.
They didn't want to expose you to extra
Right. Unless it was like a have
radiation.
to. Yeah.
Right.
Unless it was a have to thing. And then I went to my OBGYN and she said she would have probably done what primary care did. So I went through that, and then the breaking point was it was a Sunday evening. We had all been home all day. It'd been a bad weekend. I'd just been really sick. I got to where I couldn't hardly eat either and was losing some weight. And I don't lose weight when I'm pregnant. That doesn't happen
Did you
ever.
say nauseous?
I got to where I was nauseous and not wanting to eat.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was Sunday, October 1st. Lee was like, I started crying. Like I had sit down on the couch and just this horrible pain. Like I couldn't get back up and I was bawling. And then I sneezed, blood coming out everywhere again. And Lee's like, she's crying. My mom was there. I can't remember. She might have taken the boys to church, but she was there. Lee's like, we need to take her to the hospital. I think it was based off of just me crying.
Because you're always so tough and taking care of
I don't
everyone
really
else.
show emotion. That's just kind of how I've always been. But so Mom stayed with the kids, and then we went to the emergency room. When we got there, my oxygen was really low, of course, and I got admitted. No, I didn't get admitted. I was just in the ER there. And
This is when a prayer chain starts. That you were sick. I got a
That
message.
night.
Jessica's sick. Okay, was that night? Okay.
yes, I don't know. It might have been when I got to Vandy, because when I was still at the Cookeville ER, they didn't really want to say much.
Okay.
They did the scan, and I could tell immediately after the scan was done something was bad wrong, because the person that did it, she put her hand on me and she said, "Why did you wait so long to come?" And I was like, I don't know. So I'll always remember that. And
Did
then
you ask many questions?
I didn't. And I knew, since she was the one doing the imaging, that she wouldn't be able to tell me anything
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But and I was just still in denial.
Right.
Um,
Well, and honestly, we're just like, is the baby okay? That's all that, like, that's the main
and
thing
she
always.
she was still fine. But then when we got back to the room, oh my gosh, I'll never forget this. There were two nurses that came in there together. One had already started crying. And they were like, it's bad. That was like the first thing that came out of her mouth. And we were like, what do you mean? And she's just like, well, your lungs are covered. And we were like, covered in what? And she said, masses. And then me and Lee just kind of looked at each other. We were both still in denial. Like, what else could it be? Some sort of clots? What else? It has to be anything, but I used to call it the C word
Yeah.
before I accepted it. And she's like, we don't know, but we're going to have to send you out. And I'll never forget, before the ambulance came, she was hugging me and she was like, how do I keep up with you? I need to keep up with you. And then there was a male nurse, an older man. He kind of reminded me of my dad. He came in there and he was hugging me and he was like, you're going to get through this, little girl. And I was like, what is going on? I mean, I
You
think
could
I
tell
knew.
it was affecting them more.
And I think I knew. But once again, it's just shock.
They never said cancer.
And you never think no, they never said that word. And you never think it's going to happen to you. So
No one is prepared for that.
no,
Yeah.
ever. So they said, we're going to have to send you to Vanderbilt. So we had to wait a little bit on the ambulance. And Lee and I had started messaging people asking for prayers, that we didn't really know what was going on, but they were going to have to send me to Vanderbilt.
That's when I got the prayer thing. You didn't know. You just knew. I got a message. It's not good. They're sending her on to Vanderbilt. Be praying now. But we didn't know anything.
No. So let me think. Lee, did he have to go home first? No, my mom was still there. So once the ambulance came, he just went to his truck and he was following me, and we were texting back and forth while I was in the ambulance. And I was actually going back in. I never delete anything.
Yeah.
Everything's always in my phone. So I was
I'm the
reading some of
same.
them. And he was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yes, I'm okay." He said, "I'm right behind you. Everything's going to be just fine."
I can't imagine what he was thinking because Jessica, I would rather have been in the ambulance than LG in the ambulance.
Yeah.
I
It,
mean, I
I know.
I'm so much better as a patient than the caretaker, so I can't imagine the responsibility he was and what was going through his mind.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I honestly can't. I think he's had it just as rough as me this whole time.
They always do. If you're really in a relationship together, it is.
Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah. Um, so we got there. I just remember getting there, getting out of the ambulance and going through the ER at Vandy, and there was like, it was so crowded. There were like patients, like beds in the hallways. But they got me in a room, just did different types of testing. I don't even know what all.
Hmm.
And
They started in pretty quick though.
yes, and an angel on earth, Dr. Watson. It was the first time I ever met her. She was my oncologist. I saw her that very night. She came down there and she started looking at my eyes and she said, has one of your pupils always been like a larger size than the other? And I was like, I don't think so. And you could see like a panic look on her face. So they ordered an MRI. And after the MRI, she came down to the room. And some of this is blurry on timelines. And I mean, it's just a blur.
Right.
But she came
Some of
in
it you
there.
may not want to remember too.
Right. Uh, After she said, I had all the masses on my lungs, she might have told me it was cancerous before she did the MRI on my brain. But she told me, she said, she had tears in her eyes when she came back. And she said, there's a mass on your brain. And the first words that came out of my mouth, I said, how long? And like, how long do I have? And she just had tears coming down her eyes, and she said, I don't know. And Lee and I looked at each other, and I mean, we were just in disbelief. Our mouths were open. We didn't even know what to say.
This is all in hours.
Yeah, yes. This was probably like middle of the night, early morning. And the first words he said was, the boys are going to be wrecked. And I said, I know, but here's the plan. Like, I just automatically started coming up with what we're going to do. That was the first thing I said. You're going to grieve because, I mean, I thought I didn't have long. You're going to grieve. You're going to get past it. You're going to marry a Christian woman that's going to raise my boys and this little girl if she makes it. I said, just be tough, grieve, get over it, and keep going. And
See why I call her a superwoman?
yeah, but I think if anybody was in the same shoes I had been in, they would do the same. Like, you literally just start fighting for your life.
Do you think that, like, did you feel God? Like, you just felt like
I felt calm.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered, people sometimes say they feel peace.
Mm-hmm.
I felt calm. I was like, well,
Mhm.
here's the plan. Here's what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And everything will be okay. I said, they're still young. I know it's going to hurt them so bad, but everything will be okay. And he was just crying. I don't know if I'd started crying at that point either, but we started calling family. I called my dad first because I knew he was by himself. I did not want to call my mom.
With the kids.
Yes, I didn't want them to know anything.
Again, you're still just trying to take care of everybody else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was in shock, started bawling immediately. His sister passed away with cancer. She fought it for a long time. So that was something he was used to. So we called him and I was like, do not call mom. Don't say anything to her. She's with the boys and I don't want them to get upset or know anything's going on. And then we called my brother and sister-in-law, and she's in the nursing field.
And such a sweet girl.
Yeah. And she was like, could it be something else, And we're like, no, we don't think so. And so they started praying immediately. I remember they were camping because that's where my boys got sent to for a while. And then I finally broke down and called my mom. I can't remember what time it was, but I was like, okay, Mom, listen. I said, keep a straight face. I said, are you around the boys? And she said, well, they're right here. I was like, okay. I said, don't start panicking. Don't start crying. And she was like, what is it? I said, I have cancer. And she was like, what? What kind? What do you mean? And I don't think it fully registered. But I was like, stay calm. Don't worry about anything. It'll all be fine. And she did a good job of being calm.
I don't know how.
Yeah, she did pretty good throughout the whole thing. But and then I just remember texting all my praying friends and family. My aunt and uncle came pretty quickly. They're in the medical field too, and they helped me through a lot during my sickness. So I just remember everybody coming. So I know this is a lot. It's a long story.
It's
There's just so
fine.
many layers to all
And I
of
want to hear the
this.
layers because
Okay.
that's what I was telling you. I was like, I know the big picture and I know pieces, but there's still like,
Just so much.
yeah, and people don't like want to ask, but it's how you recovered that is the story in it all, and how you
Yeah.
have been so strong for everyone else. I know I've told you that to where it's like wearing you out because I tell you that every time I see you, but you really have no idea the example you've set for young people like my
I
daughter.
really hope so.
You really have. But so that you get through the night, you're telling them, and so what's game plan?
Okay. So some of this, like I said, it was such a blur, whirlwind. But here's the timeline of how I remember it. The next day, this would have been right because this is Gemma's birthday. I don't know at what time they decided, okay, we have to get the baby out. She needs to start right now on treatment because my lungs were completely covered in masses. And at this point, I think they still thought I had a mass on my brain too. So we're ready to get ready for an emergency C-section. And I never experienced that before either. So that was new. I had the 3 boys just
Naturally.
yes. So we were getting ready for that. I went into panic mode because I started hearing them talk about, okay, if it comes to one or the other, we're going to worry about you. Basically, we're going to save you first. And I just started panicking. I didn't know if I would make it through it. So I told everyone. I can't remember who I told, but there were more family that had gotten there by now in the lobby.
Did your boys come? Did you get to see them before?
No, I didn't want them around. So I told them, I just went into panic mode and I thought, okay, I just want to make sure I'm good with God before we go into this. So I said, okay, when y'all get back to the lobby and I go into surgery, just please pray if anything happens that I'm going to heaven. That was really big on my heart at the time. And of course, I was mentioning the boys again, like, please make sure they're okay, take care of them. So I went into surgery, and I remember the nurses, they're like angels on earth.
They really are.
It's
They
crazy.
They make the experience or break it in a hospital. They have so much power.
It's crazy. It's
It's
just
a missionary work.
yeah,
It really is.
it's things they don't have to do that they do, just the extra. They were just rubbing me and patting my legs, and like one got my hands and was holding them and was like, everything's gonna be okay. And she was just acting, like it wasn't an emergency. And whenever I got laid back on the table, one of them pulled their iPhones out and they said, what music do you want to listen to while you have your baby? And you probably know what I already said. I said Morgan Wallen. That's my favorite ever. So they literally put on Morgan Wallen while they were doing
Did
surgery.
they keep you awake? Because I've had C-sections.
I had to be awake.
Okay. So with my
Yeah.
C-sections, I was awake,
You
but it's
were-
a different experience. I wasn't sick, and so I didn't know. I had to have scheduled C-sections because of my heart condition. And so it was always a team there to take care of
Yeah.
things in case things went south. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know when it's emergency, like so early in your case, if they kept you awake.
They did.
Did they let Lee go with you?
Yes, he was right beside me the whole time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank goodness. He was right there with me.
Poor
And there
thing.
was
I
like
can't imagine what he was thinking.
I don't even know. And he's like me. He doesn't really show emotion either. And here we're just thrown into this. And
Yeah.
it was a lot. So I had Gemma. I was awake the whole time. She immediately got taken. And the sad part is I don't really remember when I got to see her. I would have to ask family. They have to tell me stuff sometimes. I can't remember if it was that same evening or the next day. I do have a video of them bringing her into the room and me getting to meet her.
So she was healthy enough she could come to your room.
It wasn't that day, but
That's
They,
impressive
yeah,
because she was how many weeks when she was delivered?
27 to 28.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I just figured that because they kept her for a while. So I just figured she was like in the NICU hooked to machines from the beginning.
Yeah. She was still hooked up on some of her stuff, but they transported her in there.
She's
Um,
always been like so good. She was a fighter.
yeah. Yeah. For her to be born so early, there wasn't many
Yeah.
complications. I mean, she has really bad asthma, and Dr. Langenberg calls her the wheeziest girl he knows. She's always
Well,
wheezing.
is that a side effect of being born early?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know that.
just where their lungs aren't fully,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm thankful that they didn't catch my cancer when they needed to, because if not, she would probably had a lot more complications or not even be here at all.
It's always God's plan.
It is. It was. That's what my dad said afterwards. He said, we can't be mad at anybody for overlooking anything.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the
That
plan.
was the plan.
We needed Gemma. Gemma is healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what was supposed to be. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I met little Jim. She had to stay in the NICU for 2 months, and I was in the hospital for till the end of October, so almost a full month.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Aggressive
nightmare.
treatments,
Mhm.
right?
It was a nightmare.
At what point did you find out the one in your brain was not cancer?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Either the very next day, it was very early on. There were many people, and I wish I knew who everybody was that met at the church and held prayer for me. And I feel like not long after that, I got the news. Dr. Watson came in there and she said, "Guess what? You do not have a mass on your brain. It's mini strokes with like some inflammation." So I had a couple of mini strokes also, but that was the best news.
And that could have even been from everything that your body was going through,
Yeah.
those mini strokes. I mean, not being able to breathe and
Yeah, they aren't sure. I don't really know when they
Right.
occurred, but
Oh, wow.
just hearing I did
Mhm.
not have a mass.
I
on my
remember
brain.
getting that text that
Yes.
prayers answered. That is not, she does not have brain cancer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the best news. And then they wanted, I think, immediately started chemo, I guess. I'm not sure. I just remember it was awful being in there. I was in a lot of pain at the beginning. My lungs hard to breathe.
They say lung cancer is very painful.
Oh, it's just there's no words for it, honestly. I just remember I was like, I will never take
Breathing.
for granted.
Did you, they keep you medicated for the pain?
Yes.
You feel like you
I
slept
had
a lot of
so
it.
many teams. They called me the most popular girl on the floor.
Of
I
course.
had like a pain management team, the oncology, the gynecology. I also had thyroid. There was like a thyroid team, like any team you can think of.
Postpartum.
Yeah, any
Yeah.
team you can think of, I had them. But I'm really thankful for that. But yeah, the pain management team, when they finally got something that worked, I just remember I was bawling and I was thanking them over and over.
Oh.
Thank you so much. I had never been in so much pain before. At one point, I had to get my lung drained. That was horrible. Getting all the fluid. I
Is
remember.
that an external procedure?
Mm-hmm. It was
Okay.
so painful. But so once we got the pain management, that helped. And I don't know, like as far as timeline goes, but I ended up on the ventilator.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said I was on it for about a week.
Mm-hmm.
I remember once I got off of it, I said, "How long's it been since I've talked to the boys?" And they were like, "It's been a week." I said, "I went a week without talking to my boys," and that destroyed me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy
But
how
your brother and sister-in-law were taking care of them,
they
right?
went camping. Yes, and Nash's birthday, my oldest, is on Jim's birthday, so also mom guilt that
I know.
it's his birthday, but we're here fighting for our lives, literally. But he had no idea what was going on. I don't remember when, but they ended up camping with them, and they threw him a little birthday party. And still to this day, he says that's one of his best birthday parties. At the camper,
It's awesome.
they got him a cake, and
Kudos to all of them for being able to keep things together
Yep.
for your boys because
they spoiled them rotten. They took them shopping. We ended up with some new basketball shoes.
not shoes for your boys.
Not shoes. Yeah, they don't like shoes at all. So they ended up with that. They had the time of their lives. They did.
No, good.
Yeah.
Thankful for family.
Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, the rest of my family was helping take care of me, aunt, uncle, mom, dad, lots of friends, the whole community. I mean, it's crazy how where we come from, how everybody steps in.
It's such a blessing.
It doesn't matter if you're friends with them, if you've talked to them in 10 years, they're going to be there for you.
And genuinely care.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lee even said, I didn't know this many people liked you. I said, I don't think it's that. I think it's just where we come from. Everybody.
No, it is a true. I was saying this on an earlier podcast with someone that small towns, it's just a blessing. And we were talking about it being part of God's plan. I mean, how lucky are we to have Vanderbilt?
Oh my gosh, that's what one of my family members were saying. It's right down the road.
I mean,
It's the
Vanderbilt was
best
close
possible
enough,
care.
and they could take care of you with the best possible care, but also Gemma.
Yes.
I mean, their pediatric care is just so amazing.
It
And there's
is.
just things that we just don't need to take for granted that you realize when you're needing them.
Yeah. And of course, there's far worse off people in there too. That's really sad to see. So it really puts life into a different perspective all the way around.
Did you start chemo and radiation?
Just chemo.
Just chemo. You didn't never have to have the radiation. Okay. I don't really understand how one works one way and one the other anyways.
I don't either.
Okay.
I never did radiation. We never had to go that route, but so we started the chemo, and they measure my type of cancer. It's gestational choriocarcinoma. They measure it by the beta HCG number, so basically like a pregnancy test. Well, not just a test. They have to get a certain number because like a normal number is like 0 to 3 or 5. And mine was like when they first took it, I guess that's how they knew what type mine was. It was like over 4 million. It was crazy.
I just remember them always sending out messages of numbers as
Yes.
you went through in the hospital because it was going down. Everybody was getting so excited that
Yeah.
it was going down.
And it goes down so quickly at first. So you get your hopes up like, okay, I think I looked back and I had like a number 500 in November. So I thought, okay, we already went from the millions to 500. I'm going to be over this by Christmas. We're going to have a normal Christmas. The doctors kept telling me that there would be a plateau, but I didn't believe them because I was going to be
Is
different.
it because your body it gets adjusted to that level and they need to do something else?
Maybe it could. It
Okay.
could be. Some people end up needing to try different things. So that's probably what it is. But I was like, no, I'm going to keep
I got
going. We're
this.
going to be done with this by Christmas. We're going to have a normal Christmas with our new baby girl. Well, Christmas got there. No, still not. I can't remember what my exact number was, but you get to where it might just drop 1 or 2 each time. So it's really discouraging.
So your cancer diagnosis was not lung cancer. It was so is it a maternity cancer that you get when you're pregnant?
Yeah, it's brought on. Mine was a little more rare just because mine was a normal pregnancy. It's usually from like miscarriages, like cells.
Really?
Yes. But mine was a normal pregnancy, and it came on with that. And mine is also a different case because they said there was also an extra sac. And that's something they're actually researching. They don't know if there could have been a twin. There's just all kinds of questions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't
And
realize
a molar
that.
pregnancy.
And is it hormone fed? So like if you had continued on with the pregnancy, was the hormones feeding the cancer faster?
That's a good question. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
I'm not sure. There's so much depth to it, and I haven't went back and really studied it all yet. Because in that moment, it was a whirlwind.
I mean, day by
and I
day.
was fighting to get out of it, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm
Don't
not
even want to think about it
I'm not
anymore.
talking about it. I'm not looking back. Honestly, I think it's something I'm gonna have to revisit just because I have major health anxiety now. The first time I got sick, it was just a flu, but I thought something was really bad wrong.
I think that would be so natural.
I think so. But my lungs just felt like they were on fire again like they did before. I'm sure they're nowhere near back to normal like they should be. But I messaged my good friend Kelly, and she saw me. Actually, her and Dr. Langenberg, they're like angels on earth too. They scanned and did everything. And she goes, look, the flu makes you feel like crap.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
You
know.
needed that. You needed that, like,
Yeah.
that honest shaking, like, you got this.
Yes. So I do. I do have health anxiety, and also for my kids too.
Isn't it bizarre how when you were faced with the hardest, like that moment in the hospital, you're so strong, but then when you can get the flu or something, or just laying in bed at night, you can let your mind wander till you're more
Yes.
anxious about something that's not even happening
It's so
than when it
bad.
actually happened in the
And
moment.
then you start spiraling.
Yes.
And I'm a Google queen.
Oh.
Anytime I feel something, I Google it, and then you're basically dying when you read
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the what it could be.
I'm
So
anti because I know I have anxiety,
yeah,
so I don't do Google.
don't.
But in our dental practice, when I would see patients, they would always Google dental stuff, and they were always wrong. So I
Yeah.
really don't have much faith in it, anyways.
Yeah. Well, one of my friends was when I was in the hospital. I hadn't Googled my type of cancer yet. I was just going based off what they were saying. Um, and they hadn't really, at that point, they hadn't told me like what it would look like as far as recurring or anything like
At
that.
what point did they tell you when you said how long do I have, and they said we don't know? What point did they tell you you're going to beat this?
It was a day by day just because it had gotten so far gone, just because there were so many masses on my lungs and they were infused, so they weren't able to do surgery to remove anything.
Had it spread anywhere else?
No, they thought maybe the brain, but it wasn't. So it stayed on the lungs, just completely covered. So they said it's day by day. And my aunt told me that she told me that there was like a good 7-day mark where they were really worried,
During the ventilator and everything, probably. Mm-hmm.
not knowing what was going to happen. But I can't remember when they started telling me, if you keep doing everything we say and keep your motivation, everything's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to beat it. I don't know how long it'll take. Everybody's different, but it'll be fine. And it has a low rate of recurring since it is a gestational type.
Right.
So,
Right. You had told me that, and I think
yeah.
it's really cool.
One of my friends was messaging me, and I told her what type it was, and I said, no, I haven't Googled it or anything. She said, well, I have. She said, and it's got pretty good, like, news about it. So,
Oh, good. So she
yeah.
had good news to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. She was like, oh, well, I Googled it, and it'll be okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, did they take your female?
No.
Okay, I didn't know if with
They
it being a
didn't.
pregnancy type cancer,
Yeah.
if they wanted to make sure you didn't get pregnant again.
Well, one of the things I vividly remember on my way back to get the C-section, they said, do you want your tubes tied? I was like, yes. I did not want any more pregnancies.
So they did that while they were in there.
They did. Yeah.
So it took care of that anyways.
Yeah. It had been something Lee and I had talked about
Mm-hmm.
after our second born, actually.
Thank goodness you didn't do it.
I know. That's what I can't imagine life without Spencer, Gemma. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that.
That's awesome. Now Spence is the one that's like really attached.
Yes, he sleeps in the bed with me still.
And he
He's
would have
5.
only been 3 when all this happened, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I just remember because I didn't get to sleep with him for a month. He sleeps in the bed with me, and he'll always say, "Will you put your arm around me?" before he falls asleep. And I was telling them, like, put your arm around him before he goes to sleep. I don't know. I would just think of any and everything, each of the boys, something like just the little things only moms notice.
Your husband continued to continue their lives. So while you were going through treatments and recovery, I remember Lee being at the ball games, and having the kids there and continuing on. And I remember going up to him and saying, like, you guys need like Halloween buckets. You need Halloween costumes. These are things that dads don't think about that I know your wife is fretting right now. Because that's the things, like, as a mom, and especially like us OCD, we start doing that stuff early. We want to, have it all together for them. And so
luckily my boys have like the best friends with the best moms. So Megan had actually messaged me that said, Steph and I have already ordered Nash's Halloween costume because he usually dresses up with Jet and Bryce. So they had that taken care of.
That's so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is so. I did a different interview on a podcast, and a girl had lost a child, and we talked about it, and she said the best advice. I was asking her, I was like, give me some advice, like from your standpoint, for someone like me that was trying to be there for you. And she said, not asking and just doing.
Yes, because I am not one to accept help. I hate asking for favors. Actually, today I had to ask for my oldest boys to ride to camp or ride for camp, and I'm like, I hate asking people to do things
And
for
people
me.
would love to be able to
I
do.
know, and I love doing things for other people. I don't know why I am the way I am.
We're all like that, though. But I mean, like, I love when I get to do
Me
stuff
too.
for people.
I love feeling helpful.
Yeah, but you just feels uncomfortable to say I need help.
Yes, even for the smallest things, but I just can't say enough about our community, my family, and our friends.
I mean, even like food, I would ask Lee, can I do food? It's already taken care of. He's like, the food train's full. I mean, everything that I would ever like think I've thought of something that somebody else hadn't thought of, it was done.
It was crazy. My church, Livingston Church, they covered us for meals like the whole month of December. And then, of course, friends and family filled in the rest. They got super spoiled on some good food. That's for sure.
And you probably had no appetite through all of this.
Actually, I did.
Really?
I guess it was kind of a blessing and a curse just from the steroids.
Oh, yeah.
They made me hungry.
Yeah.
So
That's good. Your body needed it.
Yeah, I didn't have an appetite for probably the first couple months, and then
Your body needs the nutrition.
Yeah,
to fight.
and I was fortunate enough not to really get sick during the chemo process.
That's awesome.
So I never had to. One time I had to be hospitalized a little extra longer because I had COVID towards the end, and I cannot imagine being sick during that time. More so than I was because it was awful, so bad because your body's already so run down. It was terrible.
You went back in the hospital for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Just a
something
couple
else
days.
that she did was she took herself to her treatments.
Okay, I did. And this is why.
This amazes me. I was just talking about this. I took someone to the doctor. We went to visit someone at Vanderbilt, and I said that when I was pulling in. I was like, I don't pull in here that I don't think about Jessica bringing herself.
The reason why I didn't want the boys, I didn't want their life to be disrupted at all. Is, I mean, it was a little, but I wanted to keep from doing anything that would interfere with that. And like I said, I don't like asking for help. I'm also a pretty closed person. So this is really big for me to do.
I'm proud you're doing it.
I told myself when I got sick, if anybody ever wanted to hear my story and I got a chance to share it, I would. But people would offer so many offers. I'm going to ride with you. I'm going to stay with you. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Looking back, that's something I would change. If I could go back and redo it, I would want a friend or family member to stay with me because I would go 1 week. I would just have chemo at Wilson County Vanderbilt, and it was just lasted like an hour or two. And then the other week, I would have to get admitted for 2 nights every other week. And
I'm just amazed you felt well enough to drive yourself back and
towards
forth.
the end, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it anymore. And that was when I had COVID. I barely made it in the door, and I was in the lobby checking in, and they were like, "We got to get you to a room," because my oxygen was low. But other than that, it was okay.
The nurses got close to you too, didn't they?
Oh my gosh. And some of the doctors, they would come visit me. I would come through and they'd be like, Miss Jackson's here.
Aww.
And they showed so much interest in my life and my family. They'd be like, okay, show me pictures. How are the boys? How's Lee? I got really close to them.
It's so awesome.
The nurses and everybody that works on the 11th floor north on Vanderbilt are angels.
Yeah.
I love them.
You really do get close to it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine as long as you were there. I've just been with family members, like at a week stay or something, and you get really close to them.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference in a nurse that's just there to check in. Like they're on the time clock.
Yes.
Or they're a traveling nurse that's just there to fill in for someone that's out. And the ones that genuinely know your schedule, and they're waiting on you because they can't wait to take care of you again. You know?
And I really probably only had one or two that seemed like they were just on the clock. But
Yeah.
I mean, they would just come and sit with me. We would talk about shows we were watching. Like I was trying to keep everything normal, so I was picking out the kids something to wear for Easter. I was hoping I'd be done by then and get to go with them.
Plus, it gives you things to look forward to.
It does, yeah. Yeah.
That's the fun part of being a mom anyways, and so you don't want to miss out on doing all that part.
I know. I think I didn't want to miss out on anything, but if I could go back, I would have maybe given myself a little bit time off and not tried to keep everything super normal. I just kept saying, I'm afraid my kids like this will scar them.
You were such a superwoman through it all. Like, seriously, you were. Like, taking care. You took care of everyone else.
I would crash as soon as I got admitted in the hospital. I would crash for 2 days. I wouldn't get out of the
Sleep
bed.
a lot.
And cry a lot because I didn't want the
You
boys.
almost needed that time away. That was your time.
I know.
Almost like therapy, wasn't it?
That's what I got to thinking. I didn't like that I had to be away from the kids, but I did need that time.
It's probably the only time you would really cry.
It was the
if you're
only
so-
time I would cry,
Yeah.
and it was the only time that I would let myself be like a sick person.
Mm-hmm.
I always tried to get up and make the boys lunches and be out of bed by the time they got home. I didn't want them to see me in the bed all the time, even though I just wanted to be in the bed all the
You
time.
just had to fake it through it.
And that's what I said the whole time. I'm so tired of faking it. I want to experience like real joy again. And I didn't know if I ever would.
And look at you now.
Yeah. Happy, so happy.
And healthy.
Healthy. I'm not completely discharged yet. I have to get another exam and then get my chest port taken out, and then we're almost done.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
But you've not had treatment. Like, you got done with treatment how long ago?
Last May.
Okay, I was
it's been
thinking
over
last
a year.
summer. Yeah, you were done.
Yeah.
But they keep the port in for a while, I know.
Just in
And
case.
you have it flushed every now and then when you go in for
They have
exam.
never flushed mine, but it
Really?
still works like a charm anytime they need to use
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've been the caretaker for my aunt that
Yeah.
has cancer, and so she's had 3 different bouts of trips, and so I'm just used to us going by and doing that. But once she had hers put in, she was like, I really just don't even want it taken out.
I know.
It's almost like her battle scar.
Yeah.
She got like attached to it, and she's like, let's just leave it. But she had a rare fallopian tube cancer, and they explained that the type of cancer that she had, it would be reoccurring, and she would learn just to live with it. They would treat it along through life and live with it like you would treat diabetes or something else, And so she's like, let's just keep this
You
in.
might need it.
I'll do what I need to do. Yeah. And she kept and always has. She's healthy today and great. The best attitude. And I think that's the key.
It is. And Lee was my biggest motivator throughout all of that. There were no days of whining.
Yeah.
So like I said, it was probably a gift that I did get to be hospitalized and get my crying and whining out. He was like, it's fine. We're going to do this. It's okay. He was like,
He
don't
was
get
almost
down.
in robot mode.
He was. He really was in robot mode. Like, he did not want me to get down and out. We just had to keep going.
Don't you know he probably needed a couple of days of sitting somewhere by himself crying too?
Oh, I'm sure. I just can't imagine what he went through. One of my friends said sometimes he would call her on the way back from the hospital and he would be crying.
Yeah.
Probably at the beginning when we didn't know what was going to
Right.
happen.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. He, the boys got to see him being a caregiver. So that's a blessing. I try to pick the blessings out of it. I know it happened for a big reason. I just might not know
Oh,
what
you have
yet.
touched so many people. You'll find out throughout life. You're going to continue to
Yeah.
hear stories of how your story touched someone else, and there'll be this big picture you're going to see one day.
I hope so. My prayer, and this is really odd, like probably for a year before I got pregnant, my prayer would every night be, please let me be a light to someone else, a light that can bring somebody to you. Maybe that happened throughout this process. I don't know.
Oh, that definitely happened. I just don't know
hope
if your
so.
prayer is what the
Yeah.
reason for it, but because it definitely, you are a light to a lot
I really
of
hope
people.
so.
And your sons learned a really good lesson about strength through you, and they also learned a lesson about their dad being a caretaker.
Yes, they got to see him take on that role, take really good care of me. I mean, all he's ever done is I mean, worked and provided. I mean, he's always been a good dad and been involved.
But the man of the household, and that they have a lot of pressure for that. They do have to be the provider, and sometimes we take on that nurturing role while they do the
Yeah,
providing
and
role.
that's kind of what we had settled into, especially since he was out of town working. I took care of everything with the boys, so he really didn't even know their schedules, and so he got a good dose of that. He was thrown into that, and he's really shy, so he would text me all the time like, "I can't wait till you're back. I can't wait till you come back."
Well, not only being shy, but
And
everyone
everybody-
constantly, everywhere you go. I'm sure because I know it was like that at ball games. We'd all be like, "Lee,
Yes.
how's Jess? How's Jess? What can we do?" You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I'm sure he had to like talk to people that he probably would not have talked to and preferred not to.
So I think that he came out of his shell a little bit with that, but
I can't help but think a daddy and a daughter relationship that they got this extra little bond through all of that.
okay, yes, that's something else. That was a struggle for me. Was I had always been the one that got up with the boys, like. Lee, at the time, he didn't work for himself when we had, I guess, the first two. He would immediately have to go back to work.
Right.
Like, he might get a week off, he might get two, and then, I mean, it was he didn't get it after
Which
that.
is how it primarily it is.
It usually is. And since I was would be on maternity leave, I would get up with them, let him sleep. I mean, he's going to be getting up to go to work. But of course, with Gemma, I wasn't able to do that. Like, I just physically couldn't.
Could not have done that.
Yeah, I just couldn't get up. So it was the sweetest thing. He sleep trained her. I was like, why didn't you do this with our boys? Like, she slept through the night at an early age.
I'd like to have seen him researching that to figure that all out.
Oh, I know. He probably just did it. He was like, I mean, you just have to wrap her really tight, and when she wants a bottle, just don't give it. You just got to keep pushing through.
She's so cute. I couldn't have kept from giving her anything she wanted. I'm telling you.
No. So they had a really sweet bond, and for a while, I felt like she was more attached to him, and that really weighed heavy on my heart. I would pray. I remember I would just be in the bedroom, not able to really come out, and I would just be praying, please help us have a close attachment and a bond just like I have with the boys. And recently, I feel just like in the past few months, she's become a mama's girl.
Yep.
And I feel it really strongly.
Yeah.
And I was really worried about it.
No, it will be, and it'll continue to go. And you're going to go through like little spurts. Girls are just different. Raising girls and boys is so different.
That's what everybody says.
It is. And you'll go through little spurts. I feel like for little girls, or in my opinion, the dad can do no wrong. They are just the superhero in their eyes. I mean, seriously, they just make everything magical in a little girl's eyes. And it's probably the exact same way for boys with their moms.
Probably.
You know? And so, like, they're a little more picky on their mom, especially when you get more into the teenage years and stuff. You know, they can see your flaws more than they can see dad's flaws, you know?
I can see that.
But it all works out. And then I feel like you get this special little bond. Like, you think you got a bestie in your boys. Wait till your daughter gets older.
I hope so. It's different right now. My boys, mama's boys, all over me. Gemma does not want to be snuggled much. But maybe it's because she's a girl. She's probably more independent.
And, you know, even when everything is in a normal, that's usually what people say about the daughters. They don't love to be snuggled as much.
That's what my brother and sister-in-law say, because they have two girls. And they're like, that's just a girl.
Yep.
They only want their mamas usually when they're sick or
they need them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They need you to be there for them, but not coddle them too much.
Yeah.
Where our boys would just let us coddle them all the time.
All the time. Now she's going to be 13 and I teach at his school. He'll come sit in my lap. If we're outside at recess, he just comes and sits in my lap. He don't care what his friends say.
Well, he just knows I'm not even going to say anything because that's him.
And I kiss him on the cheek and he don't care.
Yeah. I have this thing with my kids. I always, I still love to hold their hands. And I mean, I have a son that's 17 and a half. And if he's in my passenger seat, which is very rare that he would be in the passenger seat, and it's usually he would be in the driver's seat, I still love to pat his leg. I'm a toucher. I want to hold his hand. I held my daughter's hand this morning. I may be embarrassed in her saying this. I just held her hand as we drove to cheer camp this morning. And she's 13 and a half. But I'm like that too. I'm a toucher, and I don't think they're going to outgrow where I'm still going to want to hold their hand.
Yeah.
Like during prayer at church, I just sometimes feel led that I just gotta
I always have to have
hang
one
on
of
to
them
them.
touching them.
Yes.
And I'm really not like a touchy-feely person at all, but with my kids, it's just completely different. Like, I'm a different person now than I was before I had kids. I think they just change everybody
They
for the
do change
better.
you. They do change you so much.
Yeah.
And like you said, I used to be more of a shy person, and through this
Yeah.
experience, it's really like opened different views and eyes for you, right?
Yeah. I guess a lot of people, they might see me as outgoing just because I am a teacher and I do try to talk. Um, but I tend to just be more closed off.
Uh-huh.
It takes me a while to make a friend. Like, most of my friends are extroverts. Um, and like, they're basically like, you're going to be my friend.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They're going to make the initiative first.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Like, okay, we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
And I love that. I wish I could be more like that. It just takes me a while to warm up to people. I've just never been comfortable in my own skin. And
Isn't it nice getting older and realizing that?
that's so much better. It is. I know I'm going to pick myself apart when I watch this. It's fine.
No, you won't. You won't. You're going to be proud of yourself for doing it.
It's okay. Yeah, I think I've gotten thicker skin
Mm-hmm.
by going through what I went through. Like,
You would
it
have
isn't
to.
about appearances. It's about living your life to the fullest, experiencing true joy that you don't have to fake, and getting to be with your family and friends.
You're exactly right.
This summer has already been awesome so far. Last summer, I was done with treatment, but I was like fresh out of it, and I was still having like a lot of skin problems. I couldn't get out in the sun. I was really weak. My immune system was down.
And you had to watch out to not catch things.
Yes, and then Gemma was still pretty little. This summer,
You're good to
let's
go.
Where you want to go?
Yeah, yeah. You're
Let's
looking
go.
forward to, and you deserve it, girl.
So this is our summer. We're kind of traveling more and
Awesome.
just picking up and going.
Anna Berkeley cannot wait to have her on the beach.
I'm so excited.
She goes, Mom, she was talking about it the other day. She goes, you know, she's going to have the cutest
Little
bathing
Gemma.
suits. Yes.
Yeah, she's got a couple bikinis laid out already.
But I don't know how she's like even going to walk around places because those boys have all
It
held
took
her
her
so
forever
much.
to learn how to walk, and probably because every time she started, one of the boys would just run and be like, "Oh, Gemma."
Yeah,
You're so
everybody's that way.
cute. Yeah.
Everybody just sees her as like just such this gift.
Yeah, she's such a miracle. She really is.
Like it and the timing, just like you said about the timing of when you got diagnosed and everything for it all. But
Yeah.
I just your story, besides your strength, and my goodness, your example to so many of us. You influenced all of us. I've said that to you. I was like, I may be an influencer as a job, but you're influencing me. Like
I hope
you,
so.
you really have been through all of it, and you didn't complain. Anna
Well-
Berkeley even she even made comments of that to me.
That's really sweet, and I think that's what everyone saw. What I did share on social media. I shared because I wanted to be as truthful as I could be, just in case anybody needed it if they were going through anything.
Or we might tomorrow. I may have
Yes.
cancer right now and not know it.
Yeah.
None of us know what we're going to deal with tomorrow.
And I thought, and this is also an easier way for all the local churches to keep up with what's going on with me, for all the prayer chains. So I didn't really complain on there, but Lee would probably have a little bit of different version of that.
Everybody has to have their person.
I know. And
also,
poor guy, that's him.
if you're like me in my relationship, I think I have the best husband in the entire world.
Yeah.
He gets my best and he gets my worst.
I know.
So,
he
I mean, like, if
does.
I'm going to be mean or I'm going to complain, he's going to be the one that gets that, unfortunately. And I'm his person for that, too. So, we
Yeah.
know we tag team it. You know, we're both going to have some bad days.
Yeah.
So, Lee's your person for that.
He is, and he had to hear how miserable it was. I mean, I think the worst part about it was not knowing when it was going to be over. When is my number going to get to this? When are the treatments going to stop? I felt like I was stuck in quicksand. I felt like I was smothering. Everybody
Like you would take 2
else,
steps forward and 1 step back all the time.
and you would get to see everybody else going on with their lives and having fun, doing all the things. And I guess I just felt bad for my family that it was always said, okay, when mama gets better, then we'll do that. It was always when mama gets better. And like I was telling you before, as far as my boys, they have shown me true patience. You wouldn't think that from their age, but anytime they wanted to do something, I'd be like, when I get better. And they'd be like, yep, when you get better, that's what we're going to do. They never pushed me to do anything. I never felt rushed from getting, trying to get over the sickness. They were patient. They petted me.
They were caretakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had a good example.
Yeah. And everybody, I mean, like, you learn so much through that. And you learn so much through all of this. I mean, we don't learn when life's good.
No.
That's when we grow, is when we have these struggles and the things and it are not fun, and none of us want it, and none of us want grief and worry and trauma. But that's how we overcome that. That's when we grow most with our faith too.
I know. And I do not like to feel feelings.
You try to harbor those all you can, right?
I hate it. When I was in the hospital, I guess at one time I was on the vent. I couldn't talk. I would write them notes saying no sad movies, like on the TV. I didn't want any sad movies playing. Like, I don't like anything like that. No emotions. And this has shown me emotions aren't bad. Emotions help you get through things. You're going to experience, your life can't be perfect. I mean, I didn't think it was perfect, but it sure got
Challenged.
very challenged, far away from perfect. So, it's just kind of shown me not to be scared if something does happen, that praying,
God will get you through
and
it.
God's going to get you through it.
And until you experience a hard time, I don't know if you truly believe that or if you just say it. But, like, especially with you, I'm an extrovert. So, I mean, my life's an open book, and I feel like that's almost how I deal with life, is just I can't even lie, even about a Christmas present. My husband says my nose will flare. And so I do not have a poker face of any form or fashion. But I think that through these experiences, too, like, you have opened up so much by just asking for prayer.
Yes.
Like, that's something you probably would have never done before. And now you realize, not that you didn't already have faith, but the power of prayer is just...
I got to witness it firsthand.
Yeah, it's just something incredible. And your kids did, Jessica. Yeah. That's even more. I mean, that's a faith builder at a young age for them.
It is. They would all the time, we went by my number. I was always the number. They'd be like, what's your number? And they would pray for it to be a certain...
I remember picking Nash up to take him somewhere with us, and he was saying, did you hear my mama's number was?
Yeah. I was deleting old emails. I had like 5,000 emails. I'm so bad about that, but
mine's insane too. I don't do it.
So bad. I was reading one from him. He sent, I guess he was like during free time at school. He said, hey, Mama, what's your number? Did you find out?
That is so
bless
sweet.
His heart.
That is so sweet.
And, I can't say enough about their teachers while they were at school. They were the best. And you'll never forget somebody doing something for your kid.
Never.
Like, it's one thing them doing it for you, but when it's for your kid, so the boys missed that week of school, the first week. We just wanted to get them out of the situation while we figured things out. So they were camping, and their teachers were like,
Don't worry.
It's fine. You have nothing to worry about. So they petted them rotten, for sure. They were both in the right place where they needed to be.
Another one of those little God winks. He takes care of it.
Yeah. So
the providence of God does take care of it all. And you're right about, like, if someone's good to your babies, they're twice as good to you. That it's a different level. And same thing as they start getting teenagers, if they're mean to my kids, they're like, my house is an open house, guys. I'd let you borrow anything in my closet. I'll feed you any meal. We live close to high school. I want all the kids there. But if I find out you're mean to my kid,
you're done.
You're not coming. And I don't even care. Mama Bear will tell you, no.
Yeah.
You're not coming back.
I have forgiven you, and I might forgive you, but it's hard to forget.
You don't, do you?
No.
But when something's cool in your kid's eyes, it's especially cool in your eyes, too, as they start becoming teenagers, like to impress your children. Or like I said, your children are going to be so proud of you being on here.
I hope so. They were really excited.
They are going to be so proud of you. I often ask my children, with them being older and teenagers, does what mom does bother you? I mean, I would quit a job tomorrow for my babies. I would wear orange for my babies in jail. I mean, I would do anything for them. And they're like, no, Mom, we love it. We're proud of you. Yeah. And so, but as a parent, I don't care what anyone else thinks about me, but I do care what my kids think.
Me too.
You do. You want them
Yeah.
to see the best in you.
I
And
love when they're proud of me.
yeah, and well, listen, girl,
I love it.
you've set the bar high.
I hope so.
You did. You did awesome through all of it. Do you have any advice for somebody that might be going through your experience? That anything you would do different, or any advice that you have?
Not to rush things. I know, like I said earlier, I think the worst part about it was not knowing how long you would be sick or in the predicament you're in or what's going to happen. Just don't think too far ahead. Just stay in the moment. Pray, pray, pray. And my nurses always tell me this is just a little blip in your life. Like they would tell me that over and over, because I would say, I don't want my kids to remember me like this. I want them to know the mom that I was before, very hands-on involved. They kept saying, it's just a blip. It's just a blip. And looking back, it's just a blur.
Yep.
Um,
Into the community, like you to see you and stuff. It's not like you were ever even sick.
that was something I really worried about a lot.
Like I don't, I still don't see you as someone sick, and you've been through so much.
Yeah.
But you just always had it together. Like that's why I say you really are like a superhero through all of this.
People that came in the home would AB saw me, when I wouldn't have like my wigs on,
And you still showed confidence to her.
and that I wasn't confident, but I thought, okay, these girls, they're sweet girls.
And they're very impressionable age. I told you that. Like
Yeah.
when she came home and she was like, Mom, because she was so worried about you. She looked up to you like a mentor.
Yeah.
And she was like, Mom, Jessica, like she didn't have on her wig or anything. And she was still just so confident. And just like she don't ever complain. And she don't. So even if you were putting on a
Yeah.
front and hard times, you like really did. And I told you that. I was like, you don't know what of these girls are going to have to go through the same thing you went through one day, and they're going to remember you and how
I
you
really
handled
hope.
it.
But they just, they did so much good for me, though. They didn't treat me any different than they did before. It was still the, hey, Jess, and just like literally,
They never saw you sick either.
no,
They never did see you that view. They did not view you that way.
no.
Yeah.
They were the sweetest, still compliment you. Just good girls.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sweet. It's sweet to have watched too, you know, and how your family took everything on. What about for the final question? What piece of advice do you have for people around you? Like how could I help better, or what was some things that some people did do that really was a game changer for you?
Well, obviously the praying, but like you said before, don't ask, just do.
Yeah.
That would definitely be something, because if somebody's like me, they're not gonna ask for help. They don't want to put anybody out.
And you don't know what to do. You feel awkward because you want to help and you
Yeah.
don't want to overstep your bounds. You know, you don't know what to do. And so when she said that to me about don't ask, just do, it really stuck with me. I've used that a few times since then already.
Yeah. And another thing that helped me the most, it was when I was at my lowest point, not knowing if I could do anything else. It would just be the sweetest, heartfelt message from somebody.
Like out of the blue.
Out of the blue. And I mean, that's the best gift you can give anybody, or just words, you know?
You're right.
Just genuine words. Maybe a prayer they had typed out, or just I had a lot of girls that were big motivators for me, being like, you got this, you can do this, we're doing it together. That's really what helped me a lot. When I thought I couldn't go anymore, I would get a random message.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Some people have a gift for that.
Yes.
I have a couple of people in my life I've said that to before. My sister-in-law is one of them. My sister-in-law she can be in another country living, and it's like she knew exactly what was going on, and she'll send a message. And sometimes it would be like directly for a certain child. She'll be like, I just want you to know I was praying today for Green to do this or that. And I'm like, how did you know? You know, I mean, just, and some people just have a gift for that. They're just very thoughtful, and they share it with you when they're thinking about you.
Yes. That's one thing I've tried to be better about since I've went through it. I try to keep up with people more and message them to let them know I'm praying for them about something. Because even though I've always prayed for people, I just want them to know, and I know they feel it probably, but
Yeah.
I
If
just
you
want
want
to
to
be
reach out,
specific.
exactly. I'm
Yeah.
like that too. If I happen to have a dream about someone,
Mm-hmm.
um, it could be totally random. We were getting pizza together, nothing
Yeah.
specific, but I'm like, that person came across my mind for a
I
reason,
know.
and so I'm like, I just sent him a message that day.
Yeah.
Just thinking about you,
Yeah.
there's something for some reason, because I am thinking about him. I thought about him in the middle of my sleep, and I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a reason for that. Or it
I
makes you appreciate someone. You're like,
Yeah.
I've not talked to them in a while. I need to reach out to them.
And like I said, I'm not good at showing emotion, so I just thought I'm gonna be better about that, showing people that I do care about them,
Mm-hmm.
trying to show them instead of just praying for them and
Or assuming they know.
assuming they know,
Mm-hmm.
because they probably don't, because I'm weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm awkward. So if I can type those words out and send them, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And that touched me a lot, honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for the example that you were for my daughter, for me as a mom, for Christian ladies, like for people that's going through this, because unfortunately the statistics are just,
Yeah.
we're all going to have to deal with cancer at some form or fashion, unfortunately. And you did it like a pro.
I tried. I had a lot of help.
Well, you did, girl.
Yeah.
You did awesome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming,
Thank you for
Jessica.
inviting me.
Absolutely. I can't wait for people to meet you.
Me too. I'm excited.